Work first now.
Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. All right. First up on the agenda is to accept the minutes of the June 22nd meeting, 2017.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes on June 22nd.
I will second that. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Nope. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Up number 2, Region 2 Emergency Preparedness. I still have not heard anything as to if Sarah has been reappointed or for the region, so we'll just continue on, and as soon as we hear from her, we'll go from there. Number 3 is the reappointment of Mark Bartel as the Town of Dudley Burial Permit Agent for the FY 2017-2018. I have here a letter from Mark that he would like to be reappointed as the burial agent, so we'll entertain a motion.
Okay, so I make a motion to reappoint Mark Bartel as the Town of Dudley Burial Agent.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay. Up next, number 4 is the 87 Ramshorn Road dirt bike riding noise complaint. So I believe we have Mr. and Mrs. Safai. If you can just come up to the table there. And yeah,
Thank you.
Attorney Russo, I apologize.
No, that's-
And so what I will have you do first is just all identify yourself, just so everyone knows who you are.
Okay, I'm Ian Marie Safai.
I am Mehdi Safai.
Good evening, I'm Thomas Brusso. I'm the attorney for the Safais.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, let them, yeah, I'll let you guys tell us why you come and we'll go from there.
If I may,
Certainly.
there has been some history with the board before. I won't go over all that. The crux of the issue is that the neighbors, the Simpsons, are riding dirt bikes, and they're riding right proximate to the property owned by the Safais. They're causing excessive noise, preventing the Safais from enjoying their property. In fact, it is causing serious medical issues to the Safais. Mrs. Safai suffers from high blood pressure and angina problems that have been addressed through her doctor, and this is exacerbated by the noise from these dirt bikes. Mr. Safai is also being treated for high blood pressure as a result of these incidents, so there's a health concern. The board asked the inspector, Mr. Purcell, to go to the property, and I believe that he did, in fact, was there when there were 2 bikes that were coming within the property. Mr. Purcell wrote a letter to the members of the Board of Health reporting that the noise levels were exceeded the reasonable level of noise, and particularly when they came within 100 feet of the property line between the Safais and the Simpsons. In his letter, he expressed that he spoke with, Mr. Ryan, and what the letter indicates that they discussed the motorbikes, and it was agreed that the motorbike operations would cease within 100 feet of the Safai property. Apparently this was a verbal agreement, and Mr. Purcell took them at their good word. Unfortunately, since that took place in July of 2015, there have been numerous incidents where the motorbikes have ridden along the property lines. My clients wrote a summary. I can provide each of you a copy if you wish.
Sure. I was reading it. Okay.
They spoke with Mr. Purcell on a later date, and he suggested that when these continue to occur, that the Safais call the Dudley police. And they have done that. They have done that on at least 4 occasions. We have copies of the dispatch log from the Dudley police. There was one occasion on April 9th of this year, 2017, and an officer went, and the officer reported that the owner of the abutting property said he would stake out 100 feet to the boundary, and that's where the parties agreed upon allowing the individuals to ride their bikes. So he apparently, according to the police officer, agreed to locate the 100 feet margin and not have the bikes ride within that distance. Since that time, again, you've had more incidents of them riding within the property. They called the police on June 22nd of this year, and again, police responded, and they were, the police, again, had no order to enforce, but they did speak to the residents, and they tried to speak to the residents, but unable to locate them. On June 26th of 2017, again, the Safais reported that the dirt bikes were there, but the officer indicated that there was nothing criminal that he could take any action on. There was no order, whether from the Board of Health or any other town agency or a state agency, that he could enforce. Lastly, on July 1st, the Safais again reported that they were riding the bicycles along the boundary, coming close to the boundary line, and again, the police were not able to take any action. We have some maps that were taken from Google Maps, and if I can show them to the board. And if I may, this is the Safai property. This dark rectangle here is a trailer. The little mark here that Mrs. Safai made is where the boundary is. And you can see a dirt track going between the trailer and the boundary line. The Safais tell me that there's about 10 feet between the boundary line, there's a post, a fence post, and the trailer. So you can see through that dirt track where the motorbikes are traveling, they're well within 100 feet. They're within a matter of a few feet, despite the owner's representations that he was going to stop that, to stop the use of the motorbikes within 100 feet of the property line. We are here tonight, we're asking the board for a cease and desist order. I shouldn't think that the abutter would have a problem where where the abutter represented to both Mr. Purcell and the police that he would stop the motorbikes from going within 100 feet. But apparently he has not agreed to do that, or whoever's ever riding the bikes are not within his control. I don't know what his motivation is. But where he's agreed to stop this, and they haven't stopped it, I'm suggesting to the board and asking the board for a cease to desist order that no motorbikes be driven or any other motorized vehicles be driven within 100 feet of the Safai's property line.
Mr. Pacell, I have a couple questions if I can.
Mhm.
I know it's in here, but I just want to, so when the bikes were over 100 feet away, the readings were okay?
Yes,
They were, it was at 10, is it 10?
they were around 10 decibels.
Okay. And when,
They were around 10 or 11 decibels. I think I wrote.
right, that's what I'm just making sure I'm, and when they were closer, they were above?
Yes.
Okay. Consistently?
Well, it was only one time
Okay. That you,
that
Okay.
I was able to make that observation. It was only one time.
okay.
It wasn't a consistent, it wasn't repetitious. The several times that I had been there to the site, there were either no activity or it was so distant that it wasn't even, we wouldn't even test it.
Okay. And you did speak with Mr. Simpson?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that he did say he would keep
Yes, he did.
within 100 feet?
He would keep
Back?
the motorbikes
Right,
100 feet
feet away,
greater
sorry.
than 100 feet.
Okay. And we have not spoken with Mr. Simpson since then?
No.
Okay. And we had, that was just a verbal between you and Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Okay. Roberta, do you have any
All right,
questions?
did I, I'm
We
sorry,
talked to him again.
Madam Chairman,
Yeah.
did I write a letter, Teresa, to him? Again,
That's what
the file's been a while.
You copied the letter from to the board.
I CC'd the
you,
letter
yeah.
to Mr. Simpson. Okay. So he was provided information in writing.
Okay. The one that we got,
Oh, that was
he
him.
CC'd it to him as well.
So, I don't know, I think we need to speak to him again, don't we, before? Don't we? I don't think something
What I
really
can
is gonna hold.
Right, right.
If I may,
Yes.
what I can suggest is that I go back up and do another investigation. Obviously, I can't do a sounding if nobody's doing anything at the time, and I can't be there 24/7. What I can do is if Mr. and Mrs. Safai are stating that there's evidence and Attorney Brusso has presented evidence, or that there's ongoing writing recently, that'd be enough for me to probably go to Mr. Simpson again, for starters. And
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I have a
and,
question.
then the board could consider what they want to do for action after that, if we find recent encroachment on the property line.
So, and the police have nothing,
Unfortunately, they don't know what to do. They don't have the equipment to handle it, neither do we.
right,
We don't have the official equipment to
Right.
handle it.
right.
What we have is a decibel meter that's, we could never use in a court of law as a definitive tool for an exact measurement. All we can do is look for a gross reading on it, grossly in violation of the noise pollution laws. 10 decibels is the standard, but in order for the Board of Health to usually take action, we're supposed to be up and around the 30 decibels
Okay.
over ambient. And again, like I said, the several times that I have done soundings down there was only one occasion, and that it was 30 decibels. Every other time it was 10 decibels. Yes, there's noticeable noise, but it's well within the noise regulations of the set by the state. Again, with the investigation, it's not a problem. As long as Mr. and Mrs. Safai allow me to go on the property, I'll go down to the bottom, down into the hole, and see if there's evidence of recent motorcycle activity. If there is, then I'll report back to the board, and then a decision can be made as far as what action can be taken. But if there's no evidence of any activity within 100 feet of the property line or reasonable distance. Again, I'll report whatever I find back to the board.
If I may, Madam Chairman.
Yeah.
Recently, there has been no activity. We suspect it's because we had this meeting scheduled, and it's been my experience, you know, when people are under the gun, they stop for the time being, and then once, you know, things blow over, they start this type of action again. So in regards to what Mr. Purcell just said, there hasn't been any recent within the last few weeks, because I fear they anticipate this meeting, so it'd be hard to get. And they oftentimes do this on weekends, and I don't know that Mr. Purcell is able to come out on weekends. I don't, you know, we all have our lives and our schedules, but it poses a problem. Our thought is, if he had agreed verbally with Mr. Purcell, why can't we issue the order? We're just finalizing something that he verbally agreed to.
What I like what you had said, and that's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
What we would like to do is an order to appear? Do an order to appear for him to come in front of us.
We can,
I still would-
legally, you can ask him to do that.
That's what I would like to do, because I have a couple questions. You know, I understand you're showing me the boundaries, but legally, I don't know that that's the boundary. And I, you know, legally would like to see him stake out 100 feet. There are things that we could require. You know, I'm not saying it's not the boundary, but
Oh, I understand.
legally, I can't tell. You know, it could be, you know, it could be 10 feet this way, it could be 50 feet that way. I agree that if it was said verbally, that we definitely need to speak with him.
Mhm.
We need to address this issue. I would, perhaps if you, by all means, do your investigation, continue to investigate, go out and speak to him, but I would like him to come to a Board of Health meeting. Just to give, you know,
Hear what he has to
yeah,
say, too.
because, I mean, we've been informed via emails, letters, things like that, but it is nice to have person to person. That's what our meetings are for, and, you know, now, you said that at one point he did stake off 100 feet, or he said he was going to stake off 100 feet?
He indicated he was going to stake off.
Okay, thank
100
you.
feet.
Just, so okay.
That's according to a police report.
Right,
Excuse
okay,
me.
no, that's fine.
And I think those are all questions we would like to ask and find out.
Fair enough, I understand that you're a neutral board and you want to hear both sides.
Just trying, yeah.
If there has been any recent the way that the dirt bikes are ridden, if there's any evidence or any activity in the last few weeks even, it'll show on looking at the ruts and all of that.
Yeah.
Grasses and stuff, first of all, in a case like that, grass is not going to grow back anyhow. And with the rainy situations that we've had, if they're not sharp enough cleat marks from the bike tires and all of that, I can tell the difference between an old tire mark and a new tire mark. Not that it's that scientific, but at least it's something that lends to support your statement that there is reasonable or recent activity.
We're saying there hasn't been in the last few weeks.
Well, again, I think that
It was around July 4th, right? Or,
Yes.
I believe, somewhere in that area. So you still would,
I'd still like to go out and investigate
Oh, by all
if
means.
nothing else. There's one comment I do have. I don't have a problem if there is a violation of it. I would suggest that the board issue a cease and desist. But as far as a cease and desist with no motorized vehicles within 100 feet of the property line, I don't think we could do that. Because if you're talking about a specific vehicle versus what if he goes down there with a tractor? What if he goes there with a lawnmower? He goes with some other vehicle, you know, other than the dirt bike. I think the dirt bike is the real crux of the problem here, and not all motor vehicles. And it's, I think we're trying to be and isolate the nuisance. Again, there's regulations and stuff that we would have to deal with. And as far as putting a halo of no noise around all of your property, that's an impossibility. You know, we couldn't do that with the roadway and all of that. There's enough vehicles that are running up and down the road that are within 5 or 10 feet of property that, I won't say they make as much noise, but there are some motorcycles and all of that that do make a lot of noise, and trucks, and, you know. But I'll certainly look into it again. Like I said, the ability for me to be going down there every weekend and every time there's a complaint, and if I'm not around, but I think the thing is, if we can look for evidence of recent activity down there, that might be enough grounds to force an issue. It's a difficult thing, especially with the equipment that I have, or that the board has, that because we don't spend the $600 a year to calibrate it, because I'm not an acoustical engineer and an expert to take readings and all I can use is a handheld. And the police department is basically the same way, except for one thing. They don't even have a decibel meter. At least we've got a decibel meter that's not an official calibrated one, but like I said, it gets us in the ballpark. And that's why I say 10 decibels, and I've been advised by DEP. Use it. 10 decibels is not something that you really want to pursue. But in the case of another site or a couple of other sites that I've had dealings with, it started out as I'll give you some history with other sites like this. We're talking grossly 30 to 50 decibels over ambient, which is in gross violation of the law. And even then, I couldn't use my equipment to justify and fine people or surcharge people. All I could do was order them to hire an acoustical engineer to remedy the situation. I can't stop people from making noise, but I can stop people from allowing noise to pass over property lines. There are two types of noise. There's the general noise, and then there's specific tone noises like a whir or a whistle or something like that. There's a few exemptions, but that's why at 30 decibels for one or two instances, that's not enough grounds for me to order somebody to hire an acoustical engineer or to stake off an area or to do that. I would have to see something more consistent. I don't doubt that the bikes can make that kind of noise. And that's why I want to investigate recent activity and proximity to the property line. And if there's evidence for it, then I think that the board would want to know that, and then we could take the next step. But at this point,
I definitely would like him to come, Mr. Simpson, to come to our next meeting, because I have a few questions specifically for him regarding some of the information, and I'm sure you have a couple as well. And, you know, if a verbal agreement was made, and if it's, I'd like to maybe get more, I'm at a loss for words, more detailed information or something more concrete or something to that effect. So I would like Teresa to notify him that the next meeting is Tuesday, September 19th at 6:30, and that he has requested presence to discuss this matter. And by all means, you're welcome to come back. But it is something that I want to discuss at the next meeting, just to, and in the meantime, have you do some more investigation.
yeah.
Does that sound?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Fair
So,
Before I forget, Mr. Purcell, Mrs. Safai has a video that was taken that weekend of the 4th of July showing the motorbike. So when you go and visit the site, if if you would reach out to Mrs. Safai to show you that video. We
I
appreciate it.
do, you know,
It's
I
not
have
long.
I have a pretty good idea of really what's going to happen. I take lessons that I've learned in court as well. I mean, if the judge will accept it as evidence, I mean, that's fine, but they'll accept it as fodder, but not, maybe not concrete evidence. But I will certainly take a look at it.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So however, we want to notify him, do it certified, and, okay, please.
Did we get a from, yes, that Ms. Thomas permission to go on to the property?
That Ms. He will arrange that. Yep.
And we, again, the recording,
Thank you.
thank you. The recording here is evidence
Yeah.
that we already have permission, a verbal permission to be there. I will do my best to notify them
Right,
or identify myself when I go on the property.
right. Okay. Up next, number 5, review of septic plan for 57 Mill Road. Mr. and Mrs. Garia. If you could come forward and just identify yourself, and then we'll... Right. Oh. Hi.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Scarra.
Okay.
David?
Okay, so, I know I have a letter. Bear with me, let me just get through this. So, okay. So I'll have you first start, and then I'll have Mr. Purcell fill in any questions we have, or,
I want to start about the plan's been presented since 2015, and I guess it lies with the professionals, Mr. Purcell and Mr. LaJoy, as far as leaving the septic line.
okay, so what's,
Well, again, I suppose the thing to do is read Mrs. Garria's request.
a 5-foot setback from,
From the cellar,
the foundation,
from the foundation.
and an approval to sleeve the sewer line as Mr. LaJoy has designed installation.
Right?
Let's see, the precedent was set by the Mass Department of Environmental by approving other requests to sleeve sewer lines, crossing water lines.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, Roberta, what does that mean? Can you explain it?
Okay, the standard
That's okay.
for septic designs is the water line, according to Title V, which is the state regulations for septic system design, enforcement, perk testing, everything that goes along with subsurface sewage disposal. One of the standards is the sewer line and the water line typically do not cross. They're not allowed to cross. If they do cross, they do have to, if for some reason there is a need for them to cross, there has to be certain things that are done. And again, it's a matter of whether they need to cross or not. If there's no need for them to cross, then they shouldn't cross. Unfortunately, Mrs. Garrier has a situation here that she's got an engineer that was supposed to, I've already spoken to him, I had spoken to him about this system, and he was supposed to redesign it accordingly. There really is no need for the sewer line and the water line to cross each other. There's plenty of opportunity to place the septic tank at another location where the water line and the sewer line will not cross. Yes, there's a standard for if there's a need for sewer line and water line to cross. Water lines are supposed to be jacketed and isolated in 10 feet in all directions, to make sure that, or to try to prevent any aspiration of sewerage into the water lines, contaminating not only the individual property owner's house, but the entire water system for the town of Dudley. Again, if it was an undue hardship, an extreme hardship, that it couldn't be done, this would be the acceptable alternative. Now, the unfortunate thing is Mr. LaJoy is no longer
Can I see?
available and in business. Yeah.
Thank you. Just so I
In the area that's identified as a Quinnebog Road, there's a there's a septic tank out in front of the house. And there's a W or water line that's out in the front of the house as well. Comes off the front right corner of the house. The septic tank is more centrally located, and it comes out, and where the water line and the sewer line cross is where Mr. LaJoy has proposed a 6-inch sleeve. To double jacket the sewer line. Well, typically that's not how we do it anyhow. The water line becomes jacketed, not the sewer line. But in order for I made the suggestion that that the septic tank be moved over to the right-hand side of the house, between the driveway and the house, and then the
So that it wouldn't cross
then
the
you
water
wouldn't,
line.
there wouldn't be a crossing. We're not talking about just preventing an illness or potential illness to the individual resident. We're also talking about the entire town of Dudley. The whole water system might be contaminated.
That was my question. It's town water, not a well.
This is town water.
Okay.
In a sleeve that's just what, like a protective
It's a
casing
6-inch,
that's
right.
just
What
gonna
it, what
go-
it does is it serves as an extra barrier.
Okay, to put around the pipe if the lines in this case are supposed to,
If
are
they
gonna
should
cross.
leak or anything, or fracture, or weep, it'll serve as protection to prevent any migration into the water line. Water lines do deteriorate after a period of time. Oftentimes, water lines can aspirate. They'll aspirate whatever is in the ground if there's a leak in the water line. If the town or Mr. and Mrs. Garrier should open their water line and start the water to flow, if there's a leak in the line, it'll aspirate anything else that's around it too, around the pipe.
And they just currently have a cesspool.
They currently have,
Is it a cesspool?
I'm not sure that.
That's what it says
It
approximately.
says a cesspool, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was just making sure, so, okay.
All right.
The septic tank will go here.
Go like over here, so that it wasn't crossing the water line. So you had tried to get in touch with Mr. LaJoy prior?
Yes, I did. I did get a hold of Mr. LaJoy.
Okay.
But for one reason or another, he did not he didn't respond in kind. Now, one of the other things is I'm noticing in the water service crossing detail up above, it states that the water line has got to be an 18-inch separation. That's what Title V calls for. But Title V is wrong. It can't possibly happen this way. Because the water line itself is 5 feet down below grade, 4 to 5 feet. And I believe the standard is 5 feet. So that means that septic line would have to be 6.5 to 7 feet below grade. which means the septic tank would be 5 feet below grade. That's a violation. And that would mean that it can't gravity feed from the septic tank to the leach field, unless the leach field was some 8 feet down below grade, which it can't be because the law doesn't allow that to happen. So the design itself is incorrect as well. And I did express my concerns to Mr. LaJoy. I told him to investigate the possibility of moving the plumbing and moving the septic tank to the right side of the property. That was obviously almost 2 years ago, about a year and 3/4 ago. And to this day, it hasn't been done.
So that's why you haven't signed off on this plan,
Right,
because it doesn't,
because it doesn't work. It's not legal.
What's illegal about the plan?
Well, first of all, it states, if you look up in the detail, first of all, the water line and the sewer line are crossing each other.
I know, but how often does the incident that you're talking
I'm trying to
about
explain.
happen?
I'm not here to argue.
I'm not arguing, I'm just asking you a question.
I'm here to explain. How often do they cross each other?
No, how often does a problem develop on a jacketed water line?
All it takes is once, and one person gets sick. That's enough.
Well,
All it takes is once.
We have a twofold problem because our main line for that house is on Mill Road. And that means changing the main line all the way back to the back of the house. That means revamping our whole basement to get that line moved.
Which line?
The sewer line inside the house.
It's not a problem to do that. It's actually easier to do it there than it is to do it outside. And if you want to, again, this detail up here, this water surface crossing, makes it, and what he represents as the standard that will be used, makes it impossible for you to design a septic system the way that that's designed, unless the water line is on the surface of the ground.
Your suggestion to move the tank to the right side of the house is we have a driveway there. I don't think we can get the separating distances that you're talking about without crossing the driveway, and then now we have to sleeve under the driveway.
Well, Mrs. Guerrier, I design septic systems. I've been designing septic systems for 30 years now. And I'm looking at this design and looking at it as a 20 scale detail. I'm looking at about 30 feet between your house and your driveway. And all I need is 15 feet. 10 feet from the foundation and 5 feet for the width of the tank. So it certainly is not going to be in the driveway. I know that. In order for you to put the tank on the other side of the water line, to run that septic line under the water line, you now need a pump. You now need a $5,000 pump outside to lift the water back up to the leach field. And that isn't going to happen. You can't afford that either.
No, I mean, this thing is running into a lot of money with all the...
Well, unfortunately, that's part of the ownership that goes along with properties.
Well, if this was a simple install, we're looking at 15 grand, and with all these extras, we're up around 20.
Well, again, that's in today's day and age.
I have to hire somebody else to do this plan if Mr. LaJoy won't answer his phone.
Well, Mr. LaJoy is no longer in private practice anymore.
So this is set long enough, so this plan is got to be revised by some other
That's right.
person.
That's right. I explained that to the state. I gave them all of my information and my viewpoint on it, my examination. I expressed my professional opinion on what it was going to cost, and I told them that it's not unreasonable to expect the cost of $15,000 to $20,000 in today's situation for a septic system. The state proceeded to tell me that you got two bids. You got $15,000 and $30,000. So I was right.
Yeah.
All I asked to do was spend $500 or $1,000 in the basement to move the sewer line so to the right side of the building, and this has become a situation that isn't being remedied now. And it appears as though a lot of the players are out of the picture. So now you got to start from scratch. As far as the town, I would recommend that you don't grant the permit, because the permit it can't comply, the way it's drawn, cannot comply with Title V.
Right, right.
It
I'd
cannot.
ask that you put that in writing why it doesn't comply, so that I can pass it on to a new engineer to look at the plan.
Absolutely. Teresa can give you that, and it's right in,
And
it'll be
and
right out of the
still
minutes of the
don't
meeting.
get- oh. You're probably better than I have as far as moving the tank to the right side of the building. The tank is going to be moved to the rear of the building.
Well, did you talk to the plumber?
Yeah, I had JV come out,
Okay.
JV Mechanical.
Did you talk to any other plumber too?
Not that I know of.
Well, you might want to talk to a few plumbers and get, like you do with your septic system designer or installer. I know you spoke to more than one. Might as well shop and get some prices. See if there's different ways of doing it and finding out if there's a less expensive way.
Well,
I don't know what else to tell you,
I have quite a problem
Mr.
in the basement to get it over there, that's the problem. And come out with the same elevation that this plan calls for. Because you got such a long run in the house, you gotta run it, I don't know how wide our house is, but
It's the same width outside the house as it is inside the house. The run is the same. If the house is 28 feet wide, the run inside the house is 28 feet, the run outside the house is 28 feet. It's the same.
From our main sewer, it's not 28 feet, no. I mean, from the main sewer line in the house for all the toilets. It sits in the front of the house, and we don't have a, we
You don't have to
we have a
replumb.
16-foot run.
My point is, this is where you're talking to plumbers. You don't have to replumb the whole house. All you have to do is get to the point where the building sewer goes through the foundation. There may be a way to cut it back, run it across the cellar, run it along the wall. The crisscross can be done on the inside of the house legally, but it cannot be done
On the
outside
outside.
legally.
I just,
Again, I do this all the time.
Well, I'd appreciate it then if you write it up. If you
Teresa
can't
will
make,
give you a
can't,
copy of the minutes of the meeting.
if
It's
you
there.
can't make the alterations and charge us for it, you don't want to do that?
Well, I can't do it. It's against the law for me to do
Well, you
that.
can't do it, okay.
no,
No, it's conflict of interest for me to do that.
Okay,
because he's employed by the town,
okay.
he can't. Thank you.
So
Did you want to see this?
then we'll get a precise write-up as to what you want changed.
Basically,
If this plan doesn't meet
The
regulations.
the designer will look at it. If they have any questions, they can call me.
yeah,
Call me directly.
Okay,
The one thing you should not try to do, I try to tell all of my customers the same thing. Do not be the intermediary. Because a lot of times, communicating information, second and third hand, you know what happens. If I tell you one thing, and what you hear may be something a little different, you
Yeah.
pass it on to the engineer.
yeah,
That's not correct. The engineer and I
No.
speak the same language, the same dirt and poop language that that everybody else speaks, so.
Well, I've never told the engineer what to do, but I can't get him on the phone, so I don't know, maybe he'll answer me, maybe he won't.
Well, he's got another
After I get your letter,
again, we're not gonna send a letter, we're gonna give you a copy of the minutes of the meeting.
but you were gonna tell me what
The minutes of the
was ailing
meeting,
this.
everything is in the minutes of the meeting. It's all in the minutes of the meeting.
Oh, you just dictated about this plan being?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay?
We'll get it resolved someday, I guess.
It's, like I say, Mr.
2 years
Gary,
is
right?
not bad.
I'm
We'll
trying
go for another
to, I'm
two.
trying to help you out, and I'm trying to prevent a bad situation. And unfortunately, the players have changed in the meantime. When I spoke to Seth last year, or in December of 15, he was in complete understanding of what needed to be done.
Well, I didn't hear anything about this until a year later.
Well, again,
Between you and Seth, it sat on your desk, it sat on his desk.
no, it didn't sit on my
And we were
desk.
left out.
It did not sit on my desk.
No, I mean, your information sat on your desk, between you and him.
Again, the decision was, again, what we try to do is I try to communicate to be as expeditious as possible.
I'm sure you did, but we weren't
I
in the loop. I
communicate
didn't even know
directly-
that it wasn't being
I
done.
communicate directly with the engineer, and I'm sorry I did not communicate it directly with you at that time.
Yeah.
I did, on 2 occasions, communicate with you regarding it. I did twice. You came into my office,
That was
and
a
we
year
spoke
later.
about it. Well, again, we spoke about it.
Yeah.
That was last year.
Yeah, okay. Seth did come to the house and see how we could exit the rear of the building, so
Okay.
we're all set. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then our sign-in sheet.
Oh.
Yep.
You really needed this.
Yeah, unfortunately, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, number 6, Health Inspector's Report. Tom, back to you.
Okay. What we do have is I'm sure you received it in your emails, the final audit and inspection for Yummies.
Yes.
There were no critical violations. They had a more than reasonable inspection.
I was very happy to see
They
that.
were very happy, we were very happy to see the quality of the inspection and the quality of the site and the workmanship is dramatically improved. And the knowledge that that all the employees have gained out of this has really helped them. Mr. Wong has expressed his thanks for helping them out and moving them in the right direction.
I'm very happy.
That's all this was, right?
Yep. And it's a good way to go forward if we have any other ever come about. So I'm very pleased with them.
Yep. What is the other things? Excessive noise. 57 Mill Road has been taken care of. Yummies. Worcester Regional Tobacco Control Collaborative. First of all, I received some communication from our handler from the city of Worcester. They're going to be doing their inspections and compliance checks sometime around the end of August. They'll keep us apprised of what happens. There is an upcoming meeting September 12th, and I guess there's going to be an announcement at that time of what arrangements, policies, and funding, and how it's all going to be handled. They're going to be offering technical assistance for drafting local regulations, addressing youth access and environmental tobacco smoke issues. That's going to be September 12th from 1 to 3 in the afternoon at the Worcester Division of Public Health on 25 Mead Street.
What time was that? Sorry.
1 to 3. And if anybody would like to go, let me know. And I will RSVP, and I'll even drive.
Oh, well, then.
Well,
Let me look at my calendar.
$34 for round-trip tickets, though.
Will it take 10 hours?
And we'll stop and take a nap or something.
September 12th, I think I can make that. 1 to 3. That would be good. Would love to. We'll have to check with Ted as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was a complaint that came in regarding Wysocki Drive again. And I did do a site visit up there and found that there were two items that were outside the dumpster. I didn't follow up as far as notifying Mr. Luxor to have them removed. They were too big to put in the dumpster. There was a mattress and a box spring and a large exercise bench with a tower and everything on it. Obviously couldn't fit into the...
I did receive a phone call on Sunday, voicemail in my office, that the items were still there, and the complaintee was very upset that they were still there. Just that was all that was left.
And then there's a non-resident. That's okay.
Yep,
like I said, we went up there to do something about it, to investigate it,
Right.
and it was
You can't expect them to be
was not
taking care
a
of
serious,
3
I mean,
days.
a serious violation at that time.
No.
What we can do is we can send a reminder or a memo off to Mr. Luxor to have him or advise him or just remind him that the storage of bulky items should not be outside the dumpster. They should be addressed on a regular and a swift basis.
Right.
The rest of the site was all clean. There was no garbage on the ground or any of that, so.
And that, I mean, it happens. Stuff is, people put stuff outside the dumpsters.
Right.
Unfortunately, it happens.
Right. And I guess that's all I have.
Okay. All right. Number 7, old business. We are still trying to reach out for the Sutton nursing services to inquire. We have not received any information about what their contract looked like or anything from them.
That's the lady that came
Yeah,
to the meeting?
that was
Yeah.
the woman that was here.
Hmm.
So we are reaching out, and hopefully we'll hear back just so that we can, you know, again, look at both sides.
We'll do a follow-up, attempt to follow-up contact.
Yeah.
I'll call Cheryl and see how they're making out.
Okay.
I know that there was some legal and mechanical work that needed to be done with the town administrator and setting up a what is called as an intermunicipal agreement that needs to be formulated. They're pros at it. They've already been doing this with several communities, so it shouldn't be too difficult for them to execute another one if they really want to.
Right.
Obviously, they want to work for us. So.
Right. So,
Okay.
any other old business, anyone? Okay. Under new business, I have a couple things. So that being said, we were contacted by Harrington about flu clinics.
Drag our feet.
Well, I believe
So
you've
it's
set
there?
up the dates already?
No, they're tentative.
The tentative dates?
Yes.
Okay. So,
What are you looking for a date?
October 17th. It is a Tuesday.
Do they already have, does Harrington already have our vaccine?
That I don't know.
I don't know.
She contacted you, right?
Yeah, she's been trying to reach the elder services without.
Well, again, if she has our vaccine or our allocation of vaccine, Cheryl should be able to
Grab
draw it from them.
So let's hold off on advertising or anything at this point, just
We still
to
have
give
time.
fair game to both, you know, I just wanna. And
I
then,
think that if we don't receive any action by the next meeting, that we, I'd suggest that you then continue another year
with Harrington,
with Harrington, and then we'll seek alternate sources the next year.
right,
For the next year.
okay.
Okay?
And then
And we do have a different contact though at Harrington, right? The actual person that handles the contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good.
So that person should be contacted if,
Once we decide,
once we
we'll
decide.
have them, if the case may be, we'll have them
We'll
come
have,
to a meeting.
I'll have an answer for you for the next Board of Health meeting, so that
Beautiful.
you can make a
That's
decision
fine,
at
yeah.
that point.
And then, we're in the process, I believe, of the, rabies vaccine?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm just waiting for them to call me back to
Excellent.
confirm which date.
Excellent. Is it looking towards October?
Yeah, there's 2 dates I
That's
gave
fine.
them. She's gonna call me, then let me know which one.
Just so we can, and as
For
soon
a
as,
rabies clinic?
yeah,
Okay.
couldn't think, I had to come up with rabies. I'm like, dog vaccines? No. No. It's been a long day. Yeah, and as soon as we get that, we'll put that information out there, because it is a great service, and
Yep.
we do have a lot of people who use it. You know, and there won't be licensing at this one, but if you get your doggies vaccinated, you can license them for January, because it'll be due on January.
Oh.
So that'll be good. Any other new business that I'm forgetting? Because I'm sure I'm forgetting something. No? Nothing you can think of?
No, just fair warning for all the food service. We're gonna be hitting the pavement starting the next week or two.
Bring it.
And we're gonna be out doing our inspections.
Beautiful. Let us know when you're going, if you're around. It's
I love-
great.
yeah.
It's
you know.
interesting.
It really is. It's informative. He does a great job showing you everything.
It's
I
enlightening.
like to go.
Yeah, it is enlightening. Yeah, so, yeah, definitely, let Teresa know, and so she can notify us.
Okay.
And if one of us wants to go, or, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fun.
I know, I'd love to, just during the day is hard, but
Well, you don't start school yet.
28,
That's time.
all right.
The 24 trauma seemed to work out. It worked out very well. We ended up having to use it.
Yes.
Worked out very well.
I missed that.
Yes, you did. But I will tell you, the gentleman from 24 Trauma that came out, he was amazing.
Yes.
He was absolutely amazing, and it was, everything we learned about.
You saw,
Oh yeah, we saw,
and they implemented.
and it was so neat to see it actually happen.
Yeah.
It was really, and they go above and beyond.
Right. They did exactly what they said they would do.
Oh my
Really?
gosh,
I'll
yes.
look deep later.
In my opinion, they went well above and beyond. I was impressed.
Everybody was happy with the outcome.
Yes, yes. Definitely would keep them, and it's all because of hand sanitizer. He had the hand sanitizer from the...
Oh, and the number, did you pull up the number? Free advertisement.
That's right.
Good job, Tom.
Yep, so we talked him up great, talked with Paul from the fire department about it, how well they were, everything.
Mhm.
It was really, really good, so.
Nice.
Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn at 7:31 PM. Thank you.